Hi, in the last segment of the video, I've shown you how to use the hot air gun to thermoform the acrylic as in my design, the top part. I mentioned that I will be showing you how to use the streak heater, right? Streak heater to thermoform straight line bands over here and here, and also here. So for thermoforming using the oven, the hot air gun, or even the strip heater, the safety gear to wear will be your gloves, your safety gloves. In this case, I wear the cotton gloves. You can also wear the more heat resistant gloves like this. And for the sake of this video, I will not be wearing the cotton gloves on my right hand side, so that it's easier for me to pause the video. So what we need to do is we need to remove the protective paper around this area, and I will show you how to do that in a while. Sometimes we use the whiteboard marker to draw the line, but it's very obvious that we will thermoform the edge here. So I pause for now. I have removed the bottom area for me to thermoform this edge here. You may be wondering, should I actually thermoform this part here first? You think through. If it doesn't obstruct the thermoforming of the next stage, then it is not important which one to thermoform first. However, for some thermoforming, for example, you need to thermoform opposite sides and things like that, then you need to consider which edge to thermoform first. Then you have to execute that. So down here you can see that the strip heater is already switched on. It's at the full blast here. Alright, so you can adjust the settings. So 4 is been the so-called second highest, and now it's full. Over here, the heating element, it will start to become red hot, and across the strip heater, the center area will be the hottest, as you can see from the redness of the heating element. So what you do is you place your acrylic like so. If it topples, you have to hold on to it all the time, and you check by looking along this line that is hitting this area, because where we stand, sometimes we do not know whether it's hitting up the nearer side or the further side. How do you test whether it is ready for thermoforming? You basically do the same thing. Alright, you just try to bend the acrylic softly to test whether it's soft enough. Now it's advisable for us to also tilt over the other side so that the heat is applied evenly across. As you can see in this video, now it is ready for forming. So what we do is we will use the waste wood to align ourselves with the part that we want to bend. So I'm going to shift it to the platform here, as you can see. So what we do is we place it over here and we bend forward as far as possible. Now my design is supposed to be at an angle so that the back support will be supporting the two front ends here. Do take note that this area here is very hot, so we wait for at least about a minute before we remove the former. Former can come in different shapes: triangular block, circular rod, rectangular block, and so on. So for straight line bands, we can use any kind of waste wood. So as you can see, I have formed it at an angle. Now it's going to topple because the center of gravity is higher. So I will need to thermoform this part to tilt it back as a support. So I'm going to remove the protective paper before I show you the next stage. Now, one of the other safety precautions to take note of, in fact for all practical processes in the workshop, is to remove our watches or any loose jewelry, necklaces, alright, that may get in the way while we actually work on our process. So coming back, I'm going to hit around this area. This whole area will be softened, but I only need to pull this back later. So you can see that I have aligned myself, or rather the job, to be heated along here. I can use a small strip of wood to actually push backwards first before I hold the acrylic in place. In this case, I don't need any kind of a former. So similarly, you can tilt to the other side. If you want a slow heating, you can use the sides of the strip heater. The hottest will be in the center. Okay, it looks like it is ready for the forming. So what I do is I'll push it backwards, and with my gloves on, I actually hold it roughly for a while. Now when I thermoform this back support, it did not occur to me that this part has tilted up. So after I have thermoformed the back support, I realized that this has actually tilted up. So what I'll do is I'll reheat the so-called feet, and I will use the former to press it flat. So remember, acrylic is a thermoplastic. We can heat and reheat many times. So without further delay, I'm going to heat the original part of it. In this case, I have to hold on to the acrylic. Once you see the feet start to bend forward, I know that it is ready for forming. In this case, you don't have to tilt this way because the distance of the heating is too high. So you just be observant and be patient. Okay, let me check. Nope, not yet. Now what if you overheat? There will be crackling sound and bubbles forming, and there may be some poisonous smell coming up. So always be vigilant when you do thermoforming. Alright, so it's okay now. So what I do is I will place on this support here, press the feet flat against the platform, like so. Now after about at least a minute, alright, the acrylic will cool down and it will stay in this shape after it has cooled down. So this concludes the thermoforming of the key tag holder or key tag stand.